Hello, regular Drews.
Hello, everyone.
Welcome to episode 117. We are discussing another Nancy Drew diary. This one, The Professor and the Puzzle.
Well, aren't you a regular Nancy Drew?
I learned that from the Nancy Drew detective.
Okay, go.
You think you can follow the clues and solve the case of the missing condiment, Nancy Drew?
Because I've read every Nancy Drew mystery ever written.
Nancy, please tell me you're joking.
Wow, you suck at this Nancy Drew stuff. You should get a new hobby.
My name is Carson Drew, and this is my assistant, Nancy.
Nancy Drew.
It's curtains for you, Miss Drew.
Nancy Drew strikes again.
A regular Nancy Drew.
So what did you think, Kori?
Listen, Simon & Schuster, if you could do me a favor and just bring back the Nancy Drew files just real quick, I think that this one would have made a phenomenal file.
Oh, you're so right.
Just because the setting, we're in college, we're a little bit older, we could do a little bit more. A lot of the things that happen are a little bit more high stakes. You know, just because we're like almost getting into attempted murder territory a lot with it. So I feel like if it was a file, it doesn't even have to be the files. Just give us a new young adult series.
Right.
But just this book in that and just make it a little bit more high stakes.
Oh my God,
but yes,
so
to answer your question, I thought it was really great. The vibes, again, 10 out of 10. Nancy is such a nerd. I loved the Greek goddess vibes in this. It really reminded me of that scene at the opening of, was it Larkspur Lane, where Nancy's like imagining herself as a Greek goddess as she's picking flowers and all that. That's what it reminded me of. I was like, this is that Nancy's dream come true, getting to go to this event.
Oh, absolutely.
It was so fun.
Yeah. I agree 100%. It is a good one. It's such a good one. The vibes are totally right. Yeah. The references to the ancient Greek stuff, I will say, gets a little cheesy. It's a little cheesy, but like ultimately so fun. And at my heart, like my middle school self, like obsessed with the concept of Greek gods and goddesses. And so I just think like this is perfectly aimed at its audience. Like little girls will eat this up. Eat this up.
Absolutely.
I mean, I was practically like kicking my feet and giggling at how fun it all was. So like I can only imagine like middle school Becky. I would have died if this book came into my hands. I would have died.
Where was the story back when we were in middle school? Because
seriously,
this was like 2017, so it's a very recent one.
I will say, so I think the mystery is probably a little bit obvious for me, but I don't think it was so obvious in a way where it would be like, I think it's just obvious enough to be solvable for young readers without being too overt. And so I appreciated that. And I also just thought it was just a really well-paced story. I think the Diaries does a really good job of this because, I mean, you know, we're used to like mystery stories rules where like every chapter has to end on a cliffhanger, even though it doesn't matter and doesn't make sense. And, you know, there's always got to be something exciting happening in a chapter. The Diaries does not fall victim to that trap. They understand when it's appropriate to kind of ramp things up and then bring it back down, and in a way that is way more cohesive feeling. So I really liked it. I really liked it.
Edutainment at its finest,
Truly.
you know?
Truly. Should we talk about the cover art?
Yes.
Okay.
I really like this cover.
I know. It's cover art by Erin McGuire. And it is actually, so this is a scene in the book, but it is actually a dream that Nancy has. And I was kind of surprised by that because I was like, I'd seen the cover and I was waiting for us to get this scene. And I was like, oh, someone's going to give Nancy and slip a note under her door. I'm so excited for that. It turned out to be a dream, which I was a little disappointed about. I'm not gonna lie.
It's okay, but it's very Curse of Blackmore Manor vibes.
Yes,
with
that's
the
true.
spooky dream. So,
and I love kind of like the ethereal quality of this on the cover. So like Nancy is kind of crouching down, picking up that note off of the wooden floor, and you see the light from the door kind of like opening. Like you see like the light from the hallway because there's no lights on in the room, and then in the background. I mean, we got to talk about what that painting is exactly supposed to be. There's a painting of a dude on the wall, which is really random. I would have wished it was maybe like some kind of Greek looking art or something.
I just assume it's like a past university president or something.
Probably. And then in the background, there's like, she's clearly in a bedroom. There's a bed and a chair. And then in the window is like reflecting, or like the moonlight is streaming in through the window through branches on a tree, like a tree with no leaves. Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Yeah, I think it's great. It's clearly a scene from the book. I love the representation of Nancy here. She's excited. She's interested. Her eyes are bright, although her eyes look brown. I have a little bit of an issue with that. Her eyes are pretty obviously brown to me.
Yeah.
But, you know, if you don't look too closely, it's okay.
I feel like the vibe of the cover matches the story, even if we didn't get an actual scene that happens in it. It's very dark academia, which really, it feels like captures the vibe.
Yeah, the colors especially is all purplies and blues. Yeah, I love it. I love it. Okay.
Question for you.
Yes.
Is the reason we like the diary so much is just because Ned is not in these as often? I was trying to think about that and I was like, I don't think we've done a diaries that really features Ned, but that's not true. We did that one with Ned Talks. I think Famous Mistakes. Yeah. So I feel like that's the only one where he's actually been in the diary. Otherwise, it's just like a reference to him or a quick phone call to him or something like that.
Yeah, you might be right. You might be onto something, Kori. Because I do feel like that even like the Ned Talks like reference in that book was pretty... Like, it felt like they were kind of making fun of him a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, Ned is absolutely a guy who would have a podcast.
Yeah. Yeah.
I say as someone who has a podcast, who's literally talking on a podcast right now. But yeah.
Feels very Ned. Yeah.
It feels very Ned. No, you're so right, Kori. You're so right. Because he typically gets a mention. Usually a one and done.
Yeah, just my boyfriend Ned. I should probably call him. There's no time though. Never mind.
Oh well. He's probably busy anyway.
Oh well. Yeah. At River Heights University, where they sent him in this book, which I don't like that. It's
Why
not Emerson.
Can't it be Emerson? What's wrong with Emerson? Yeah.
We don't need to change canon too much. If you want to change up how they met, that's something. But
he was at River Heights University in the Ned Talks one too, wasn't he?
Probably, yeah. I feel like,
That's just this universe canon. Just kind of annoying.
Yeah, I'd forgotten until this, and now I'm like, I don't like that as much, but whatever.
It's just not necessary. It's like changing things for no reason, changing things just to change them. The one thing I was kind of surprised and slightly disappointed by is that we literally have this college. It's called Oracle University, Oracle College, which, again, another ancient Greek thing. It's just littered with things, littered with it. But like no Greek life to speak of.
That's why I was wondering, like, if it had been more of a file, would we have injected a little bit more of the Greek life aspect of it into there? Because it felt like it wanted to. That's just a little bit maybe too mature for the target audience.
Right. Yeah. No, like, I mean, I think they mentioned that they do have fraternities and sororities. They do have Greek life, but we don't talk about any of the characters as being in a frat or a sorority. We don't mention any of that. Nancy does ask about hazing at one point, but they're like, oh no, that's not really a thing here. That's not really a problem here. Yeah. So I was kind of hoping that we would have that. And I don't know. I think there is a way to do it age appropriately, but I can see what you mean. Like, I think if we did have like a truly more adulty version of this book, I think it would have been so exciting.
Yeah. Yeah, the actual portrayal of the school itself was ridiculous and completely unrealistic.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a lot of this. It's like, how small of a school is this that the president of the entire university is like this involved with it? If this was, any like average size school, it would not work that way at all,
Yeah.
Unless the student body was like less than 5,000 people. I can't imagine him ever being this involved with the student body this way.
I went to a pretty small liberal arts school, as you know, Kori, and we did have a president's house like adjacent to campus and that whole thing. I knew who the president was, and I know that there were like events and things occasionally, but I could have never met them. Like, I don't know that they met very many students,
Right.
So,
Yeah. At the college I went to, the president's job was really more of like a figurehead who was there to like meet and greet the governor and like that kind of level stuff, and was more of like the financial aspect of things, and not that he like is involved in the personal lives of all the professors at the school, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
It's very unrealistic in that aspect. Not that it needs to be, I can get over it for sure, but it was a little funny.
It is supposed to be a very small school. I do know that. So like that aspect of it was believable to me. But yeah, the whole like being BFFs with the professors felt a little bit like, just a little unrealistic. Because you wouldn't want to be as essentially their boss, like it certainly complicates things. And I guess it did complicate things for him, for the president of the book. And we can talk about that when we get into it. But yeah,
it's definitely all convenient for the story because it all revolves around what's happening in the classics department. I'm like, is everything in your school just classics department themed? Do you not have like a math professor here that works here as well that like?
Well, no, clearly they do.
I know, obviously they do, but it's
merchandising, which is for such a small school, such a random niche major, to have at this teeny tiny school that is apparently super focused on classics and like serious like academics. Not that fashion merchandising isn't a serious academic pursuit, but just that like it's much more business focused than ancient history, for example. Right. And so it's just like such a weird choice to offer as a major in Oracle College, but maybe he did that particularly just so that his daughter would go there. So
maybe,
you never know.
Even the thing with like, he named the campus coffee shop. It's like, I don't think that the president of the university is in charge of marketing activities for the coffee shop this year. Like it's just a little bit too hands-on. It's funny.
And it's like, did he found the school? Because it kind of seems like he did.
They mentioned something about like the previous president when they're talking about like the parties and everything, and like he took over X years ago and he's been doing this party ever since. Like he did not found the school. He didn't,
So
like
he rebranded it. Did he rename it and rename everything in it? Because the whole thing is that like he's Greek, and so like he loves all of this because it's like a nod to his heritage, kind of a thing. My assumption was that he had to have created it. Because otherwise, like, otherwise it's too weird of a coincidence.
It's very heavy-handed.
Yeah.
And very unrealistic. But again, I'm not.
Yeah, I can suspend my disbelief because it's fun. It's fun,
It is fun. And the costume, speaking of the fashion merchandising, oh my gosh, I want this to be like a live action adaptation or movie or something where we can see all of these costumes because it sounds so beautiful. Pretty. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
We'll have to talk about Iris at the end.
We do. 3 words.
Oh, Greek. Or Greek gods, goddesses. Yeah.
Gotta be Greek. Yeah.
Academia, like dark academia, again, I feel like is very on brand for this.
Okay. Greek, academia. And then I thought maybe parrot.
Yeah.
Or is there like a one-word way to say on the nose? Because it's the most
phrase.
On the nose book I've ever read.
Yeah. On the nose works. We could just use that phrase as a...
like the Greek thing and the way that like, everything is named to kind of match this whole Greek theme. And then like the costumes that people wore to this gala. I was like, okay, I get it. Like we'll have to talk about it, but George even goes as Hermes.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
It's
Come
excellent.
on.
Yeah.
So, okay. But should we just get into it?
Okay, let's do it.
Let's just get into it. Okay. So Nancy, Bess, and George arrive at Oracle College, this very small school nestled in the mountains outside of River Heights. Which, I'm sorry,
what
pause.
Mountains? Geographically, what?
Mountains where? Where? I thought we were in Chicago. Like, where? I'm sorry, Midwest. Mountains where? This is so weird. Whatever. So they've been invited to attend, apparently, the event of the season, an annual Greek gala hosted by the president of the college, Georgios Pappas. And he was a frat brother of Carson's. And his daughter Iris kind of grew up with Nancy. And she is who invited Nancy. She's now a student, a fashion merchandising student at Oracle College.
Side note, I really wanted him to be related to Bill Pappas from Stay Tuned for Danger. I was hoping we'd get some sort of reference in some way.
My Uncle Bill or something, like from Iris. Oh, that would have been so good. It's so niche and such a slight nod to the game.
I would have loved it.
It would have been perfect. That's too bad. Yeah. Oh, I didn't even think of that. So the girls have just driven here. It's raining and they have to rush from their car to the president's mansion where they will be staying and where the gala is going to be held tonight. They are greeted by Iris at the door, who ushers them into this massive, gorgeous house that is currently overrun by caterers and event staff. We also meet Mr. Pappas, who Nancy affectionately calls Papa George.
Aww.
So sweet. And he calls Nancy Little Fox in Greek.
Oh,
so sweet. So sweet. They kind of reminisce about old times a little bit, but Mr. Pappas becomes sad, and we learn that this is likely later that this is likely because he is still grieving the loss of one of his good friends on the faculty at the classics chair, Dr. Walsh, who recently passed away. Bess and George go upstairs to get ready for the gala while Iris gives Nancy a quick tour of the event space. It is this beautiful ivy-covered ballroom, and it has like a second-level balcony that looks out over the whole of the room. And during this tour, Nancy not accidentally, just unintentionally, steps on like what looks like dirt, but it's like clay little fragments on the floor. We're really unsure of what this is. Iris just kind of brushes it off as some dirt that like the caterers maybe tracked in. So Nancy goes upstairs to get ready for this gala and joins Bess and George. Nancy dresses as Athena, Bess as Aphrodite, obviously, and George as Hermes.
Love it.
And I just have to say, yes, this is so perfect. All of it. Like,
I'm
obsessed with that. Of course, Nancy dresses as Athena. Athena is absolutely the goddess that she would most want to emulate and be like goddess of wisdom, and war or battle or something, right? Like just very, very forthright and powerful. Bess obviously wants to be beautiful and like goddess of love and beauty, like just perfect. And then George, okay, we have to talk about this. George going as Hermes. So this is just another example of queer coding for George. And I'm actually a little bit surprised at the diaries for doing this, because I feel like when did this come out? This book came out
2017.
in 2017. Oh, I just feel like, can we please let George come out of the closet? Can we please?
Just real quick.
Just really quick. So Hermes, if you don't know, is like, this is where the word hermaphrodite came from. Hermes is a like canonically god who's like kind of both and male and female, just kind of like bridging the gap, very much a queer kind of god. And so it's like George picks them to be like not a female goddess, not even like a badass female goddess about like, I don't know, she doesn't go as like an ancient Greek athlete kind of thing. She doesn't pick Hercules or anything like that. No, she picks a queer god.
Is this the closest we're gonna get to her coming out? I think so.
So anyway, they soon make their way down to the party, which is in full swing. Iris, dressed as Iris, the goddess of rainbows, very appropriate. Iris is also just such a great character because, she loves fashion and she's constantly wearing these bright, bold, beautiful dresses and outfits. It's really great. And Iris shows them around and introduces them to people. We meet Sebastian Bash Rivera, a star student from the classics department. We also meet Dr. Fletcher Brown, who is a very popular classics professor who's apparently very handsome. Dr. Pappas approaches them as they're talking, and he compliments the professor on his Apollo costume and Bash on his Icarus costume. And we're going to get to the Icarus costume a little bit later. He also insinuates that Dr. Brown is on the verge of some kind of big discovery, which is interesting. But an hour into the gala, Nancy notices a woman nearby dressed as Artemis. Iris says that she is Dr. Stone, yet another classics professor.
I think they were the only department that was invited.
Seriously. And apparently the students kind of hate Dr. Stone because she's just like really strict, kind of a tough grader, a no-nonsense kind of professor. And Nancy notices that Dr. Stone kind of looks to be in pain. And so Nancy approaches her and asks her, hey, are you all right? But she kind of brushes Nancy off and says she's fine and walks away. A few minutes later, some speeches start, and Bash is apparently here as a guest of honor. Unclear as to why exactly, but he goes up and starts his speech, thanking the donors who provide him with his scholarship, and then he's also about to thank someone else who he cites as being his mentor and someone who has really helped him get to where he is today. When he leans onto the balcony railing, it's also storming outside. That's important to note for the ambiance of this. He leans onto the balcony railing, and a flash of lightning happens, and Bash falls off the balcony all the way to the ground, and then the power goes out. It's very dramatic. So people start to panic, obviously. It's dark. Bash just fell, and so people start turning on their cell phone lights. Nancy turns hers on and goes to check on Bash. He's unconscious, but alive. She feels his pulse. Somebody calls an ambulance, and they arrive quickly, and they take Bash to the hospital. Afterwards, Nancy, Bess, and George end up meeting a girl nearby who's very shaken. It turns out she's Bash's girlfriend, Daniela. They get her some water, and this other guy named Mason comes over and offers Daniela a ride home or a ride to the hospital, which Daniela is kind of irritated by. It clearly seems that Mason has a thing for her and that she has rejected his advances many times and just thinks that this is him just, again, trying to get in good with her. So Daniela then leaves, and we talk to Mason a little bit more, and he makes some Icarus jokes, obviously, because Bash fell, right? So the story of Icarus is that he flew too close to the sun and falls to the ground, and something similar seems to have happened to Bash. This is what I was talking about with this book being very on the nose.
Yeah.
He's a star student, so literally flying too close to the sun, getting too kind of famous and important, and then literally having a fall. Anyway,
yeah.
So Nancy asks about Bash, and Mason says that Bash is very popular and everyone loves him, but Nancy realizes that Mason never said that he liked Bash and that he was friends with Bash. So the gala is cut short, obviously, and all of the guests start to leave, and the girls check in with Iris and then go up to bed. And Nancy is in the process of taking off her costume when she notices the sneakers that she was wearing earlier today when Iris was giving her that tour, and she sees those little fragments of the clay bits that she remembers stepping on when she was walking through the ballroom earlier. And she has this thought. She's like, oh no. And she runs downstairs, and sure enough, the spot where she remembers stepping on those pieces was right under the balcony. Those pieces are also the exact same color of the balcony railing, and nothing else in the room is that color. Almost as if someone unbolted the railing from the wall and that some of the paint came off in the process, almost like someone did this on purpose, almost like sabotage.
Oh.
Okay. We get it? Is everyone tracking now?
So exciting. So the next morning, they wake up and Nancy tells Bess and George about her mystery, but unfortunately, they say it is time for them to get back to River Heights. Iris agrees that she is going to help Nancy out between her classes with her mystery. So Nancy is going to stay in town, and then Bess and George are just going to take a bus back to River Heights. So she puts them on the bus, and then Iris points Nancy in the direction of the dorms where both Bash and Daniela live. So she decides that she's going to go try to investigate there. She actually has to break into the dorm, but then she's able to locate Bash's room. She breaks into his room as well and looks around a little bit. We're just picking locks all over the place on campus. She looks through some of the papers on his desk and sees he has gotten a B on a recent paper that he's turned in for Dr. Stone's class. Remember, she's the really harsh grader. So even though he's like the star student of the whole department, he's still only getting B's on his work. She looks around a little bit more, but doesn't really find anything else. But she starts to hear like some voices coming. So she has to like sneak out of the room. Actually, as she's like trying to leave, she hears the voices a little bit louder. And it turns out to be an argument between Daniela, who's Bash's girlfriend, and Mason, the guy who was not really clear about whether or not Bash is his friend last night. He's being more persistent, saying like, but I miss you, Daniela, and all this weird stuff. And we learn pretty quickly here that he and Daniela used to date before they broke up and she started dating Bash instead. He says that he wants her back, but she's like, I wish I'd never dated you in the first place. And tells him off a little bit. So he leaves, and then Nancy pretends to like just happen to run into Daniela. And she's like, "Oh, I didn't even see you in the stairwell." And she's like, "Oh, I'm just getting a tour because I'm thinking about coming here next year." Blah blah blah. And she asks if she can ask Daniela some questions, and so she asks if the fraternities here on campus haze at all. And Daniela says no, but the students around here are really really competitive because scholarships and things like that are in high demand, obviously. So it's a really competitive environment here. Side note, I don't like this. I think that that's a sign of a not so great school. If you're pitting your students against each other, that's not the greatest thing. I get scholarships are competitive, but just the competitive aspect of it does not seem like the healthiest learning environment to me.
Yeah.
I don't like this. And this gets worse, by the way. Dr. Stone is terrible. But then, anyway, Nancy's still talking to Danielle and she tries to like subtly ask about Mason. She says something about like, oh, my boyfriend's so great, but the last guy that I dated, ugh. And Danielle is like, oh, I know. Mason has like had it out for Bash ever since I started dating him, blah, blah, blah. He's always trying to like one up him and make him look bad, all this kind of stuff. So after she leaves, Nancy texts Iris and tells her, hey, keep an ear on the ground about Mason, like keep your eyes open to see if anything is going on with him. And then Nancy heads to get some lunch. And afterwards, Iris actually texts her back that she's found some info and they arrange to meet in the Classics building. Once she gets there, though, she runs into Dr. Stone, who has just dropped a bunch of her papers all over the hallway. So Nancy like runs over and helps him gather them up. And Dr. Stone is like really surprised by this. And she says something to Nancy about remembering her from the gala and is shocked that someone would be nice to her and help her pick up her papers like this, especially because she was a little bit rude to Nancy earlier. So Nancy talks to her a little bit more and she helps her take her things back up to her office. And when we're in her office, we get to meet her beloved parrot, Sophocles. Oh,
Sophocles is the best.
I know.
I love this bird.
What a superstar. We learn that he can speak Greek and English fluently. Mm-hmm. He can take commands in either one and he can talk back to you in Greek and English. It's so cute.
For any bird nerds, by the way, he's an African gray parrot. If you were curious.
We learn as well, Nancy says something about having grown up with parakeet. And that she knows about birds because she had a bird growing up, which is very new.
That is news.
So, but yeah, so Dr. Stone says that Sophocles is like the only creature on campus that actually likes her. At this point, though, Dr. Stone actually takes out an insulin needle, and we learn that, of course, she is diabetic, and this actually explains why she was acting kind of off at the gala. Her blood sugar was low, and so she was not really in a small talky kind of mood, and so that's why, it explains a lot about her behavior. We also learned that actually she was the one that was supposed to be giving that speech that night, that actually Bash stepped in because he saw that she wasn't feeling well. So if Bash wasn't supposed to be up there, does that mean that Dr. Stone was our intended victim, not Bash? So does that mean that Nancy has been barking up the wrong tree this whole time?
Sure does.
So we rush out of there to go meet with Iris, and Iris tells us that she actually learned that Mason has an alibi for the gala and could not have had time to sabotage the balcony, which makes more sense now that we know that he's not even probably one of our suspects anyway. Only problem now is that Dr. Stone is probably still in danger since her saboteur didn't actually get to her last time. They seems reasonable to think that they could try again, right?
Right.
So Iris and Nancy head back to the mansion to talk about this a little bit more. But as soon as they get there, actually Papa George has been eavesdropping on their conversation, and he comes downstairs and is pretty hard on them about this. And it's like, absolutely not. You will not be going around doing this investigating on my campus and blah, blah, blah. But Nancy kind of talks him into it, and he agrees that if it seems that Dr. Stone really is in danger, he doesn't want it like getting out on campus, so he agrees to let her investigate.
I just thought this was so funny, like, because this is like feels like finally the first realistic reason for Nancy to investigate is like he's like, fine, but don't let anyone know that I'm letting you do this. You're a child. I can't have a teenager running around investigating the school's issues. I'm president of this college.
Sir, you need to be a little bit more hands off with your job. You need to hire like actual professionals to be running this stuff. Yeah. Oh my gosh. But yeah, so Nancy asks him if he knows why someone would want to hurt Dr. Stone. And he just says, yeah, I don't know. I mean, students don't really like her because she's a tough grader. But beyond that, she's just not a very popular person. So who knows? He does say something, though, about the fact that the classics chair is currently vacant, because, of course, we know that his friend who passed away was previously the chair, and it's just been too difficult for him to rehire that position. But Dr. Stone and Dr. Brown, the, handsome professor that we met at the start of the book, they are the top two candidates for the role. This also feels super unrealistic to me. Don't tell me that they wouldn't have had an interim chair, at least just kind of take over in the meantime, as soon as the other guy passed away.
Right.
Yeah. So that's kind of strange that it's seems to be such a competitive thing when there doesn't seem to be any talk of an interview process or any sort of official application thing for this role. Who knows? Maybe they've already done the interviews and he just hasn't picked someone yet because it's too hard. Whatever. But
also, as the president of the university, I don't know, Kori, maybe you know this. Would you be involved in the hiring process of the professors?
Probably not. You would think that there would be someone in between, like a dean of the college, who would be on that hiring committee or would be the one to select the hiring committee. And it would be let me know your answer once you've picked somebody.
Right.
To my knowledge, that's how it works.
So,
and when it's for a role this high up in the structure, if you're the chair of the department, it's not just going to be the president in the university picking somebody. It's going to be a whole process with day-long interviews. If you've ever heard of a professor interview, just to interview for a professorship, it's literally a full day interview of showing up, teaching seminar or whatever. If you have to do sample lectures and stuff like that for this hiring committee, and then it's going to be a group of people that chooses, not just one president says, "Ooh, I feel like this professor has done a good job so far. I'm going to just select them," with no other process involved.
Yeah. I mean, I guess because they are existing professors at the school, maybe it's a little bit different, but because they have all of that information already, but still, there would be some kind of vetting. Still.
Yeah.
It doesn't track for me.
Yeah. Even if it does, it's still the same process. Even if the candidate pool is just people that already work for you, there still has to be a process,
Yeah.
But I'm getting too bogged down in the details. The reality of this is really not the important part of this. But yes, so Nancy wonders, hey, that could be pretty good motive, right? If Dr. Stone is vying for this department chair position, then that could be a reason to sabotage her and try to get her out of the way.
Right. So Nancy and Iris decide to sit in on Dr. Stone's next class to see if maybe they can suss out any students who might have it out for her. Because again, remember the leading theory here is just that the students don't like her, and so probably it's a student who has done this. Whatever. Surprisingly, though, so they go to this class, and surprisingly, though, Dr. Stone opens up her lecture with an announcement that her parrot, Sophocles, is missing.
No.
And she asks all the students, and if you have any information, come to me and tell me. And so Nancy wonders, oh, well, did Sophocles escape? Like, did he get out on his own? Or did someone steal him? And is this related to the other potential sabotage of Dr. Stone? Regardless, Dr. Stone is very professional, and she continues her class. If my pet went missing, I would not be doing anything else.
Yeah.
But she's a better professor, I guess, than I would be, probably. And she continues her lecture. And Nancy sees that the reputation that Dr. Stone has is earned because she doesn't quite scold the person coming in late to her class, but she calls them out in a way that is like, you need to not be late again. And then there's also like 2 students in the class who are looking at their cell phones or like showing each other something on their cell phones. She confiscates their cell phones from them, which is not something you can do in college. Like,
I don't like this woman.
You can kick them out of class, but you can't take their personal property.
It's not just that. This class is on Monday, and she's like, if you're good, I'll give them back to you on Wednesday after class.
Yeah.
You've stolen these cell phones, ma'am.
Yes.
It's one thing to be like, okay, if you really can't, if you really want to be that professor that treats your students like middle
like
schoolers,
children,
then okay, maybe say, put it in this basket until the end of class period, and then you can have it back. But you don't get to keep their cell phone for 2 days. These are adults. They might be 18 years old, but you don't know what's going on in their lives.
Right.
Your class may not be the most important thing. Maybe somebody's having a medical issue and they're waiting for a phone call. Oh my gosh, I hate this so much. You have no right to do this.
Well, and it's also like, it's one thing if they're being disruptive, like to the point where people can't hear your lecture or it's distracting from your lecture. But it was pretty subtle. I don't think they were being loud about it or obnoxious. I think it's like a tiered lecture hall. So I think they were in the front row. And so I think just a lot of people saw the light of the cell phones. But like, okay.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Anyway, she confiscates these 2 cell phones, and then these students instead start passing notes, and she kicks them out of her class for that.
I mean, that's fair. That should be like the limit of what she's allowed to do, though. If you want to kick somebody out of your class for being disruptive, fine. But don't embarrass them in front of the entire class. Don't yell at them because they came in 1 minute late, and don't steal their personal belongings.
Don't steal their phones.
Oh my gosh.
But so these 2 students are kind of like muttering, and on their way out of class, Nancy manages to pick their pocket and get the note that they were passing. And she looks at it, which is also just kind of like weird behavior, Nancy. Are these really our top suspects right now? But she picks the pocket and takes the note and sees that it's written in Greek, or at least some kind of code, but it is actually Greek. Anyway, after class, Nancy approaches Dr. Stone and offers her help in finding Sophocles, which Dr. Stone accepts and invites Nancy to come to her office later that night around 9:00. So Nancy shows up to her office that night alone, since Iris is at some club meeting, and it's like this really spooky scene of her walking on campus in the dark and going into this dark, empty classics building. Anyway, she gets up to the office and Dr. Stone is not there. Maybe she's caught up in a meeting or something, but regardless, Nancy still wants to investigate. So she goes into the office and turns on the desk light and starts to look around. And she soon sees that it does indeed look like Sophocles was bird-napped. There are feathers around his cage, like there was a struggle. Because she was saying that she remembers, like, from her own bird care, that birds don't just like lose their feathers like that unless there's something happening. And it doesn't look like he had used his beak or his talons or anything to open up the cage. Like there were no scratches or anything around the lock or the latch. While Nancy's looking at this, she overhears a sound outside the window that sounds kind of like a parrot repeating the words "so sauce on." And she runs over to the open window and squints into the darkness when the rug literally is like pulled out from under her and she falls out the open window. She manages to catch onto the windowsill and she's dangling about 20 feet off the ground. This scene is so funny too, because she's like calculating her odds of like, she's like, well, I'll probably survive the fall, but I'm definitely breaking something and I may fall wrong and I could still die. So she's kind of panicking in a logic panic kind of way, I guess, that Nancy Drew does. And so she's shouting for help, like, help, someone help me. And luckily and very heroically, Dr. Brown shows up. He says he overheard Nancy shouting for help and comes over and pulls her back inside. Nancy just kind of assumes that she slipped out the window because she was leaning out and slipped on the rug. But there is a rug pad underneath the rug. So it doesn't seem like that would happen. But Dr. Brown says something about like the floors being waxed. And I'm like, I'm sorry. The floor underneath a rug in a professor's office getting waxed by the janitorial staff, that's not happening.
No.
That is not happening. Whatever. At this point, Dr. Stone shows up. She says, yes, she was just running late from her last meeting, and Dr. Brown says goodnight and leaves. And Nancy wonders if maybe, because the office was kind of semi-dark, she only just turned on the desk lamp, if someone mistook her for Dr. Stone and pulled the rug so she would fall out the window. Because 2 falls in 2 days is a pretty big coincidence. They also start talking about, with Dr. Stone, she starts talking about just like loss in general. They had brought up Bash falling, and Dr. Stone brings up Dr. Walsh and how close she was to him and how he was like this brilliant guy, and he was apparently writing some really important paper that he was trying to publish, and she had read it and given him notes, and how she misses him so much, and she's sad that he won't actually be able to continue his work. And then Nancy explains to Dr. Stone, like, oh yeah, I thought I heard your bird, by the way. Outside the window saying something so sauce on, and Dr. Stone explains that that's a Greek phrase meaning succor, O mighty Zeus, which she had taught Sophocles to say if he was ever in danger and needed her help.
Okay.
I know. As soon as I heard this, I almost started crying. I was like, he needs her. He's in danger. He needs help. He needs
afraid.
His mom. Oh, I hate it. I hate this. And so she's like, but why would he say that? Like, he wouldn't say that if he had just flown off. Like, he would just fly back if he needed me. Mm-hmm. And Nancy is forced to explain her theory that someone stole Sophocles and was perhaps preventing him from returning. And unfortunately, and I don't really understand this scene, but Dr. Stone doesn't like this explanation. I think she thinks that maybe Nancy is like grasping at straws or just kind of trying to take advantage of her somehow in some way, like making her feel worse about the situation. And so she kind of forces Nancy out of the office. So Nancy goes back to the president's mansion. She goes to bed. And that night she has a dream that someone shoves a note under her door written in Greek that says to open her eyes. And she'll like find the answers she's seeking or something. And that is the cover of the book. That's the scene that we were talking about before.
I love it. It's so fun.
I know. It's very cute. And she wakes up to a call from George. And after George hears about kind of the wall that Nancy is hitting, she suggests to Nancy that she take a look at the security footage from the mansion on the night of the gala because she noticed that there were cameras outside. And maybe if they take a look at that, Nancy can narrow down who was in the building before the gala and they can figure out who like their actual suspects are. Thank you, George. Like, yes. Honestly, I'm here for this. Finally, George gets to have some redeeming moments in these diary series. Mm-hmm. She is bringing up helpful suggestions about technology, which is right in her wheelhouse. Something that Nancy didn't even think about. Like, I love this. Mm-hmm. I love this. So Nancy and Iris break into the mansion's security office, and they pull up the security footage from the gala. And other than a couple of professors, including Dr. Brown, who like they had been pulled in to do some to like help prepare or something, apparently, I don't know. The only other people coming in and out of the building are caterers until they spot one of the students who was kicked out of Dr. Stone's class yesterday. It didn't seem like that incident in Dr. Stone's class was like his first kind of run-in with her. So maybe he has some kind of vendetta against Dr. Stone and did come into the gala or did come into the ballroom to sabotage that. Balcony. Iris brings up the note that they had stolen from his pocket, which they hadn't translated yet. And so Nancy pulls it out, sees that it is indeed in Greek, and translates it. And it says, "Meet me in the professor's office Tuesday at 8." And today is Tuesday. That is tonight. So Nancy thinks that maybe they are arranging to meet in Dr. Stone's office, potentially to pull some other instance of sabotage. So she wants to go there tonight alone for some reason, because I think this is the point where like Iris is wearing like a yield sign dress or something. Oh, yeah. And Nancy thinks she's going to be like too obvious, I think. Too noticeable.
Not that her dress actually looks like a yield sign. Nancy just makes a mental note of that because her dress is yellow and sparkly. And
kind of triangular shaped, I think. Right, I think it's like, like a shift kind of dress. Yeah. Yes.
Oh, poor Iris.
So anyway, that evening, Nancy walks over to the Classics building. Outside, she has like a strange run-in with Dr. Brown, who is like in the bushes. He like pops out of the bushes with like twigs and stuff in his hair. And Nancy's like, "Oh, hi."
This is like, fine.
"Hi." She's like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "Oh, I was just looking for my dictaphone, which I dropped in the bushes. Here it is. I found it. See you later. Good night." And he like leaves and she just like continues on into the building. It's at this point where I'm like, Nancy, come on. Nancy. Like, use the little gray cells, Nancy. Like, come on. Yeah, because at this point it was obvious to me. Like, it was already kind of obvious to me, but this was even more obvious.
I thought so. So she heads up to Dr. Stone's office and she's about to grab the door handle when it's opened from the inside by Dr. Stone. She's just leaving. Nancy pretends that she is here just to apologize for yesterday when she got offended at the implication that Sophocles was bird-napped. Dr. Stone accepts the apology, but she has to leave because she says that she just got a text message that somebody in the next town over found Sophocles. And she's going to go meet them in a grocery store parking lot in half an hour. So she books it out of here, and then Nancy hears two male voices approaching from down the hallway. And so, of course, she tries to duck into Dr. Stone's office, but it's already locked because she just locked it. So she just ducks into like the office across the hallway, which is just sitting open a little bit. And it turns out to be Dr. Brown's office. And these two voices that are coming are the two students that had been passing notes in class the other day. And they are going not into Dr. Stone's office, but into Dr. Brown's office. Which is weird because in the note, it implied Dr. Stone's office, right?
It just said the professor's office.
This is true. Well, yeah, I guess we just assumed that it would be Dr. Stone's. Yeah. So she dives underneath the desk to hide, and the two students come in, and it turns out that Dr. Brown had like gotten their cell phones back from Dr. Stone. I guess like stole them from her office or just talked her into giving them back. I don't know. But he had arranged with these two students to like leave the phones in his office so that they could come tonight and pick them up. Whatever. So one of the students remarks about how this is a favor from Dr. Brown as a reward for doing the errands for him before the gala. So they reach into Dr. Brown's desk drawer, and Nancy has to like scoot back further into the desk to hide a little bit more. And they are able to grab their cell phones from under the drawer. But at the same time, Nancy hears like an unsticking sound, like the sound of like someone like ripping tape away or something. And then something from the bottom of the drawer just falls into Nancy's lap from underneath the desk. And the students don't notice her, so they grab their cell phones and they leave. And when Nancy crawls out from under the desk, she realizes that this thing that has fallen into her lap is a folder full of papers. She also notices that on top of Dr. Brown's desk are some fresh flowers with a note. And the note on it is sent by this editor of an academic journal asking if Dr. Brown still had the paper that he wrote because they wanted it to be published should he hand it in. And Nancy realizes that this file folder in her hands is that paper that is being referenced by the editor of this academic journal. But why would it be taped underneath his desk? That seems really weird. Why would he want to hide it? And then she realizes, okay, so he must have been responsible for the balcony incident. So she runs to her car, races off campus because she realizes she's only got 30 minutes here, and it's probably already been about 30 minutes. She just hopes that she is not too late. But unfortunately, oh my gosh, Nancy, this bothers me so much. This would never happen in a mystery story. So we're heading to the grocery store parking lot to save Dr. Stone, right? Is what's going on here. And as she's almost to the grocery store parking lot, the car runs out of gas because Nancy forgot to put gas in her car. This bothers me a lot. This would not have happened to our original or revised text Nancy, honestly. But so she jumps out of the car and just starts sprinting towards the grocery store because we have no other option. She's in ballet flats, by the way.
Yeah.
Not the proper footwear for this event, but she's sprinting as fast as she can up the road just in time to see Dr. Stone get out of her car. It's an otherwise empty parking lot except for just Dr. Stone's car and a cage just sitting in the middle of the parking lot by itself with Sophocles inside.
Oh my God.
Why?
See, here's the thing. Why is Dr. Stone not freaked out by this situation and is not having her senses up?
Mm-hmm.
Like, your bird's just been abandoned in this parking lot. Like, the F.
And instead of like jumping out of the car, grabbing him and jumping back into the car really quickly, she like turns her back and bends over the cage and is just talking to the bird, not aware of the fact that a dark figure has just come out of the grocery store and is coming at her from behind. And Nancy is still too far away to like be heard. Like, she's shouting, but she's too far away for them to hear her. But this figure holds a syringe up over their head in the air like they're about to stab Dr. Stone. And then finally Nancy is able to run close enough that she's able to scream, and Dr. Stone does hear her just in time to like notice what's going on behind her. And Nancy sprints up, tackles the figure, and the syringe goes flying.
Whoo, boy.
And the figure's in like some hooded thing or whatever, so we can't see their face. And Nancy's like, not so fast, Dr. Brown. And then Dr. Stone's like, oh, what? Who? How? Turns out Dr. Brown really wants this classics chair position. And he had happened to actually find amongst Dr. Walsh's belongings in his old office, he happened to find this brilliant paper that he'd written. He'd actually asked Dr. Stone to like edit it or like read it and revise it for him or something. And so Dr. Stone had previously read this paper, but nobody else. And so Dr. Brown thought if he could just publish it as his own work, then he could get credit for obviously having written this work, and then he would have enough on his resume to make him qualified for the classics chair position. Great idea, right?
Mm-hmm.
Only problem, though, is that Dr. Stone, because she has previously read this paper, she would know, like right off the bat, that this is not actually Dr. Brown's work and would be able to expose him for plagiarism. So all of this was just done to get Dr. Stone out of the way. So he's the one that arranged all these accidents. He actually was the one that, surprise, surprise, pulled the rug out from under Nancy and knocked her out of the window in Dr. Stone's office because he thought that she was Dr. Stone because it was dark, right? And then when Nancy heard Sophocles out the window, it was not Sophocles talking out the window. It was Dr. Brown's dictaphone on which he had recorded Sophocles talking and then left the dictaphone under the window so that you'd be able to hear it from inside Dr. Stone's office. So now he lured her here to this empty grocery store parking lot to inject her with insulin and force her to go into a diabetic coma. This is where I feel like if it was a file, we would have just called this attempted murder, because this is.
I mean, it is, yeah.
This could kill her.
100%.
how do you know that it's for sure going to send her into a coma?
You don't unless you knew her precise health history and like with her like and were a doctor.
And her dosage and all of that kind of stuff.
Yes. Yeah.
You wouldn't.
No.
But yeah, so he's doing this obviously to get her out of the way so that he can vie for that position. Luckily, at this point, Iris and Papa George show up because Nancy had texted them on her way to the grocery store. And they are here. They're present to hear this whole explanation. And Papa George gets Dr. Brown in his car while Dr. Stone and Iris help Nancy. They stay to help Nancy get some gas for her car. The next day, though, we get the great news that Bash has woken up in the hospital. So Nancy and Iris head to the hospital to go visit him. And on their way up to his room, they actually run into Dr. Stone, and she tells us that she has been given the position of chair of the classics department. So hooray, I guess that she's realized she needs to be a nicer professor or something.
No, not exactly.
No. Well,
no.
They go in and they talk to Bash and they tell him everything that has happened since he's been unconscious the whole time. And Dr. Stone apologizes to him that his most admired professor what turned out to be evil and let him down in this way. And Bash is like, what are you talking about? Dr. Brown wasn't my most admired professor. And she's like, oh, well, in your speech at the gala, you were about to say how much this professor meant to you when you fell and you didn't get a chance to finish your sentence or whatever. And he's like, no, I was talking about you. I was going to thank you as my most favorite professor or whatever. And this brings tears to her eyes, and she realizes that she doesn't need to be the most popular professor in the department in order to be effective as a good chair. She just needs to keep doing her work, I guess, and she can still make a difference in people's lives. So that's nice, I guess. Yeah. She's not going to be any nicer, probably, but she's still passionate about it. I don't know. She seems nice enough to Bash, at least in this moment. So. Yeah. But whatever. So as they leave the hospital, Dr. Stone hands Nancy a little trinket to say thank you. It's a statue of Alethea, the goddess of truth, and explains how, Nancy's always in pursuit of the truth or whatever. So it's fitting. And then Iris gives us the most 2017 gift ever. It's an infinity scarf, and she's made a little magnifying glass pen to wear on the scarf. Yes. And she makes Nancy promise to wear sneakers next time she has to sprint through a parking lot.
Yes.
And the end.
The end.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I love it. 10 out of 10. No notes.
Yes.
Just kidding. I do have some notes.
If this was a file, I think Dr. Walsh, the previous chair, would have been murdered. I think we would have found out that Dr. Brown murdered him to get him out of the way. And we would have called attempted murder. But otherwise, I think it would have made a phenomenal file.
Bash would have been part of a fraternity, and Mason would have been his fraternity brother. And it would have been so there would have been some drama at the frat house. There would have been a party that Daniela attended where Mason was hitting on her inappropriately after Bash fell. There would have been another fraternity brother hitting on Nancy who's unrelated, but just happens to show up in different points in times and potentially helps or hinders Nancy's investigation in unexpected ways.
Like kissing her too much.
Yes. And Ned would still not be there, but he would be in much more frequent phone contact with Nancy. And she would feel conflicted about whether or not she should tell him about this guy, but then she would remember in the last book how he was flirting with some other girl and she'd feel fine about it. Yeah.
I would read that.
I would too.
That sounds great. That sounds like a great time.
It does. Oh my God. Okay, I do want to talk a little bit about the characterization of Dr. Stone. We talked, how, taking away your students' cell phones in class is just really stupid.
Not okay.
And not okay. But I do think that the reputation that she has received is a little bit unearned. I'm sure she's a harsh grader, whatever, people have tough professors, but I don't think it's fair, and maybe this is because it's the way she characterizes herself, but she seems to think that everyone hates her.
Yeah.
And everyone kind of like gives off that impression that she's like that nobody likes her. And she is a very serious person. She's certainly not overly friendly, I think, to students or to Nancy. But I don't think, I mean, like, even tough professors that I had in school, I didn't hate them. I was
No.
just like, they're really hard. Yeah, I don't like,
Yeah.
you know, it wasn't like a hatred kind of a thing. And also, like, I had several hard professors who were heads of their departments, you know? So it's almost like, I feel like it's more appropriate for a kind of hard ass professor to be the head of the department, because you kind of have to be if you're responsible for all of like the departmental like goings on. You know, you have to be a little bit more of a stickler for the rules and
You would think.
all of that.
Yeah.
You would think. So I don't know. And you also can't be as much of an open door to people because you're busy with other stuff, you know? So you can't be just chatting to students outside like Dr. Brown does if you're, you know, constantly in and out of meetings, you know? Like, I don't know. And so I just feel like this whole thing is a little bit just misguided. Like her feeling like she's hated, her getting the reputation that she's hated, and us thinking for some reason that like the reasons they do give for that are a bad thing. It feels a little bit like sexism, and I'm not sure why. I think maybe it's just because it's in contrast to Dr. Brown, who is like this very like charismatic kind of a guy. It's like we're saying, oh, because we have a woman who is not charismatic, she's not successful. Whereas I think if it were a male professor, we wouldn't even be having these questions. We wouldn't even be concerned about whether or not he was liked. We wouldn't be concerned about whether or not his likability made him qualified for a chair position.
That's what it seems like with Dr. Walsh, because obviously he's already passed away by the time this book starts. We don't really talk about him except for that Papa George misses him or whatever. But we still even say that, like, he wasn't friends with other people in the faculty. Like, he let Dr. Stone read his work, and that was unusual for him, you know?
He was very private, yes.
But he was still besties with the president, overqualified for his position, you know? Doesn't seem like the type of guy that's going to be all buddy-buddy with the students like Dr. Brown was, you know?
Yeah. And it just seems to me that, like, I'm a little bit surprised at that for the diaries. I feel like they would have at least said something about it. Like, I feel like at the end, like, yes, we could have maybe had that same plot points or something, but just maybe mention, just like a little quip from Iris or something, just to like say, oh, we realize, or like, yeah, you know, because she talks about at the end how, oh, she realizes she doesn't necessarily need to go out of her way to make herself popular with the students to be good at her job. Iris should just say something like, yeah, and you might not ask yourself that if you were a man, you know, like, you know, and that would have been enough. That would have been enough to kind of like let us all know, okay, yeah, a lot of this politics and this like back and forth kind of characterization in the book is very gendered and gender dynamic dependent. So yeah, I'm a little disappointed in the diaries for that, but
definitely.
Anyway, what else?
The treatment of Iris is very interesting, and I feel like they almost wanted her to be, you know, original mystery story Bess, where she's there to be kicked a little bit and be called fat and made fun of for her love of fashion and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
We start off describing her as Amazonian. So we get the sense that she's very, very tall. Maybe she's
statuesque.
Yeah, a little bit bigger than Nancy might be. But they make an effort to like put those adjectives in anytime we talk about Iris. We can't just say that Iris shook Nancy's hand. It's Iris extended her big hand. It's like oh, okay. Iris doesn't walk down hallways. She thunders down hallways. And it's like, was that necessary? I don't feel like that was necessary. It was kind of jarring almost.
That's interesting. I picked up on that a little bit, but a little bit more in that I was thinking they were just trying to portray Iris as being a larger than life kind of character.
That's
a
fine.
bit more like a goddess, as that's how she was like kind of first portrayed to us. But I can definitely see how there's a reading where it's about her just general appearance and her largeness. Yeah, that's not great.
It's fine to describe how she looks, but it just felt like we went out of our way every time she did anything. Right. We had to put a modifier in front of it. She's big. She's a big girl. Here she comes. Like, okay, that was much.
Well, and overall, I do feel like on the whole, Nancy is mostly complimentary of Iris in that, like, she thinks that she's got great style and she's always kind of calling out what she's wearing and her outfit. But there are a couple subtle digs, and we talked about one of them with, like, the yield sign dress that she's wearing to where Nancy, I think, just thinks it's too much. Like, she does too much. Yeah. In a way that does feel kind of reminiscent of Nancy thinking Bess is too much sometimes in how she reacts to situations or in falling head over heels for some guy. It's just too much. You need to just scale it back a little bit. Yes. Because otherwise, like, you're loving life too much. You have to be more more reserved to be more palatable for other people, right? Which is obviously horrible message for young girls to get. So, yeah.
I was trying to see if I could find the description of
the dress.
Yeah, from this is when Iris helps her break into the security office inside the mansion that they can look at the videotapes from the night of the gala. I rolled my eyes. You know, Iris, the thing about being a spy is you don't want people to notice you. Iris glanced down at her outfit, which today consisted of an attention-grabbing yellow sequined A-line dress, making her look like the world's most glamorous hazard sign. Most glamorous hazard sign.
Oh,
beautiful,
my God.
But not exactly subtle. Okay, Nancy. I mean, that's that. Those weren't mean.
That's true. But mean, but it's also like a little bit like too much. I don't know. And I don't know. I think that maybe that's just me reading into it. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's not that negative. But it's definitely too much for the situation because Nancy doesn't want to bring her around. So I don't know. In that way, I could see someone reading that as being like, well, she didn't dress that way, then maybe she'd get to participate in the mystery. If she didn't look the way that she did, maybe she could participate in the mystery.
Yep.
If she's too tall, maybe she's too tall to hide in a closet. Maybe if I'm tall, I can't solve mysteries because I can't hide well. I don't know. Thoughts I think a little girl might have, you know? I don't know.
That's not a good message.
Especially if they're already kind of sensitive about, you know, their height or their appearance in any way. Paying special attention to a character who they're like, oh, she's really tall and she's really sophisticated and she's really good at fashion. Oh, but now she can't come along.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll take the time to say, oh, she's so beautiful. Oh, she looks so great. But it's just too much. We just can't have it. It has literally nothing to do with anything because, by the way, they don't get caught or anything. Iris doesn't screw anything up for them.
No.
Anyway.
No. Yeah. Let's see. What else? Oh, something interesting that I did think is a little bit of the characterization of Nancy in, I guess it's the middle of the book. I was going to say close to the beginning, but there's only 12 chapters in this book, so it's pretty short. But this is when she and Iris are talking, and Nancy has just learned that, just figured out that Bash wasn't the intended target. Dr. Stone was. This is like before Papa George overhears them. She's like being really hard on herself.
Yeah.
For not having thought to like ask those questions before. And Iris even brings up that that's typical of Nancy and how she was like that when she was younger too. And I just thought that was an interesting characterization. Yeah. Because I think we get a lot of Nancy's like single-mindedness. And so sometimes missing maybe obvious questions because she's busy pursuing a different lead. But I don't think we ever get Nancy beating herself up in the way that she kind of was. Let me see if I can find it. Chapter 6.
That feels like something that could only take place in a diary where we're doing the first person perspective. That we wouldn't necessarily get that if it was just a third person narrator.
Yeah. So Iris plopped herself onto one of the upholstered armchairs placed in the center of the foyer, depositing her heavy book bag on the floor. Nancy, she said, I'm your friend, so I'm going to be honest. I cringed. She's mad that I let her on a wild goose chase after the wrong person, I thought. I'm sorry, I spluttered. I know, I screwed up. We've been going about this case all wrong, and it's my fault. Iris looked surprised. Actually, I was going to say that salmon isn't really your color. She took her chin toward my blouse. But wow, girl, it was an honest mistake. Don't be so hard on yourself. How were you supposed to know that Bash wasn't the target? I sure didn't. I crossed my arms.
Iris.
I should have spoken to the gala organizers right away. Any one of them could have told me that Bash doing the speech was a last-minute change. I glanced over at Iris, who was rolling her eyes in that familiar, oh, Nancy, sort of way. I was fussing over some insignificant mistake that I'd made, like overcooking the marshmallows over the fire or coloring outside the lines. I sighed and threw up my hands. All right, fine. I guess it's better that I figured this out now rather than later, but still I have a lot of catching up to do. So, like...
Oh.
Yeah.
Nancy.
Yeah. It's interesting.
That is very unusual.
I kind of like it for Nancy because I think that it fits with all of her other kind of character traits, but also makes her a little bit more relatable.
Yeah.
In a charming kind of way.
Yeah.
You know? She really, really cares. She's really invested. Interesting.
Oh, Nancy.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. It was good. Yeah. It's a good one.
It's a good one. It is a little heavy-handed, like you said, but it's fun. It's a really fun one. Yeah.
Yeah, I excuse it all because I love, you know, Greek gods and goddesses and the whole ancient Greek and Roman stuff. It's just, it's just so fun.
It's a vibe, honestly.
It's a total vibe. I like the introduction of a character like Iris. I kind of like that Bess and George weren't in it, too. I mean, I think, like, I love a Bess and George mystery, too, but I feel like in this situation, it was more appropriate to have someone else because Nancy is at school. Oh, that's another thing I wanted to talk about. So at one point, I think early on in the book, they're talking to Papa George, and he tells Nancy, and at the end, too, he tells Nancy that she should come to Oracle College next year.
So she's a senior?
That she is a high school senior.
Alrighty.
Because she's just solved this mystery, and then at the end of it, he's like, I could work out he's like, you know, you should come next year. We would love to have you on, you know, in our student body or whatever. And Nancy's like, she says something about like not being able to afford it, which, girl.
Okay.
But he mentions like scholarships and stuff. He says we could figure something out. So I think she's supposed to be still in school.
Yeah.
Because this is fully like in the school year, classes are going on. Yeah. So if Nancy's in high school, she's undoubtedly in classes right now.
Yeah.
Which also, like, how does that work exactly?
Yeah, where
it doesn't make any sense. Because it's just like a Tuesday. She's fully investigating in the middle of the week. Yeah, the gala, I think, was on a Sunday night or something. But the rest of it takes place midweek, and Bess and George have to go back to River Heights. They don't stay for school.
George is helping her grandpa with his computer, and she says something about how the computer's been updated for 48 hours, and she's so bored. It's like, George, why haven't you been at school these past couple days?
Yeah.
That's funny.
I don't understand. I don't understand. Unless she goes to some weird school that's like, you know, 1 week on, 1 week off or something.
Who knows?
But yeah, she would still have like assignments and yeah, homework and projects, but nope. Hold on. I have a theory.
Oh, yeah?
Nancy's homeschooled.
Oh, easy.
Nancy, Bess, and George are all homeschooled. This is why they're so weird.
Yes. This explains everything.
I'm teasing. I don't think you're weird if you were homeschooled. I just think Nancy, she can do whatever she wants. It's because she's probably already got her GED.
Yeah. Or she's taking a gap year.
Or that, yeah. Yeah.
Or both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it would just explain a lot.
It would,
if Nancy had been homeschooled.
Yeah.
Because, like, she could have asked Carson specifically, hey, can I be homeschooled so that I have time to solve mysteries? And he would have been like, sure, Nancy, whatever you want.
Yeah. Clear it with Hannah. It's her problem. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could see it.
Bess and George, not so much, but I don't know. Their families seem to have a lot of children, so maybe it's a religious thing for them. Yeah, I could totally see it.
I could buy it, definitely.
Yeah.
It makes sense. It explains everything. Leaves things open for her to run off to wherever in the mountains and do this. So
yes, mountains. My God.
Where? Which mountains?
Where?
Which mountain range is this?
The River Heights Mountains.
Yes.
The River Heights Mountain Range.
Yes. That's where River Heights University is, in the River Heights Mountains.
Oh my God. It's just on the other side of it.
Yes.
From Oracle College. So
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No, I loved it. It was a great one.
It was great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Flashlight score?
Oh, do I want to give it? No, I'm going to give it 4.5.
Okay.
4.5 is what I will give it. I loved it. I loved almost every bit of it. I just think there were I just think it wasn't super realistic. It goes a little bit too on the nose to be fully immersive.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I didn't enjoy that, but I think maybe a little bit more subtlety would have made it a better book overall.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, there were some things that I felt like maybe were missing from the story that if I were writing it, I would have worked it in, like the whole fraternity sorority thing. But overall, no, I think it was really good. Really good. Really good.
It was really good. Yeah.
What about you?
I think I'll just give it a 4.
Okay.
I do think that it could, like you said, it could be not fleshed out more, but it could be a little bit longer. We could add more things in there. Yeah. Like I said, I just feel like it's better suited for like an older book where you can have slightly higher stakes. But other than that, it was really fun. It was a great one.
Yeah. An interesting thing about this is that this is also 12 chapters. Are all the diaries 12 chapters? And I just didn't notice that until now. I can't remember from previous books.
Yeah, I don't remember. I feel like they were shorter. And the page length, the mystery stories are usually like 180. I feel like this was like 175 pages or so. So lengthwise, it's still about the same page numbers. It's just chapters are a lot longer. Yeah.
Yeah. That feels right.
I feel like mystery story chapters are like 3 pages and then you're already on a new chapter and a new cliffhanger. But with these, it's like 5 to 6 pages per chapter. So
yeah. Okay, regular Drews. Well, next up, we have a very special episode. We will be covering another Nancy Drew diary, this one, The Magician's Secret, but we are going to be having a special guest with us.
Yay!
Kori, who is going to be joining us next time?
It is Doc Wyatt of Wandering Planet Toys, the company that produced the Nancy Drew action figures.
Oh, so exciting. We had the pleasure of meeting Doc at the Nancy Drew Sleuths convention last year. Was it last year?
Last year, yeah.
And he is just so wonderful, so hilarious, so lovely. So we're so excited to get to talk to him again and get to talk to him specifically about The Magician's Secret. So yeah, we'll see you next time, regular Drews.
Yep, we'll see you then.
Thank you for listening to Regular Nancy Drew. If you like this episode, make sure to rate, review, and subscribe.
Email us at regularnancydrew@gmail.com.
You can also visit our website, regularnancydrew.com, and also follow us on Instagram at regularnancydrew.
You can also support us on Patreon. Patrons at the $3 level vote on upcoming episode topics and get exclusive access to our Scoop Sesh series.
And all patrons receive early access to each episode as well as weekly bonus content.
And to all you regular Drews out there, thanks for listening.